Welcome to episode 226. Today on Book Chat, I am interviewing author Kellye Garrett about her mystery series Detective by Day. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Tamara Ford, and welcome to Book Chat here on the Shelf Addiction Podcast. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're listening. Here on Book Chat, we get bookish with roundtable book discussions, book recommendation lists, interviews, and more. Be sure to check out shelfaddiction.com for even more content. Before we get started, let me tell you a bit about today's interview guest. Kellye Garrett's first novel, Hollywood Homicide, was released by Midnight Inc. in August 2017. In addition to receiving starred reviews from Publisher Weekly and Library Journal, it won the Agatha Lefty and Independent Publisher Awards for Best First Novel. It was also recently nominated for Anthony, McCavity, and Barry Awards. Hollywood Ending, her second book in the Detective by Day mystery series, was released on August 8th, 2018. In addition to her writing, she currently serves on the National Board of Directors of Sisters in Crime as its publicity liaison. Learn more about Kellye in the coordinating blog post. If you'd like to comment on something you've heard during today's episode, you can find me on Twitter or Instagram at Shelf Addiction, or call in and leave an internet voice message via SpeakPipe. The links for everything related to today's episode are below in the show notes. Hey Kellye, thank you for joining me today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. How are you doing?
I am good. It's about 7:30 here, so I've been at work all day, so now I'm kind of relaxing. How about you?
Yeah. Oh, I get off of work and keep working.
I think that's like the hustle now, right? Where you have like two jobs, like you have your day job and then you have your other hustles going on.
Absolutely. And your hustle is writing, so let's talk about that.
Yes, it is.
Let's learn a little bit about you before we talk about your series. So can you share with us what you're reading right now?
Unfortunately, I am not reading anything because I'm so busy, but the last book that I read that I loved was Tracy Clark's Broken Places. She's a fellow Black woman mystery writer, and so her debut came out in May from Kensington, and it's about a Black woman who is a former police detective turned private investigator. So,
Oh,
and
cool.
she has just a beautiful way of writing that I'm kind of jealous of. Plus, she's really nice in real life.
Oh, that's always a bonus, right? That's
Yes,
cool.
it's always nice when people are nice, right?
Absolutely. So obviously you write mysteries, cozy mysteries. Do you have any authors that you would say have influenced your writing style?
Oh, definitely. I think Janet Ivanovich, she writes the Stephanie Plum series, and she's been writing them since I was a teenager, so over 20 years. And she just does an amazing job of kind of having, because murder is obviously a very serious thing. And so when you have a funny book about murder, it's hard to have that tone be correct.
Mm-hmm.
So she's definitely one of my idols when it comes to kind of, having serious situations like murder and lives being threatened, but also being able to, still have some funny moments. And so definitely love her. I grew up loving a lot of Black women mystery writers from the 90s, like Eleanor Taylor Bland, Barbara Neely, and Valerie Wilson Wesley. And in terms of just women mystery writers, definitely Sue Grafton with her Kinsey Millhone series. So,
are there any authors, or at least one author on your list, that every time a book is published, you just hit buy? You don't even bother reading the synopsis. You just buy
unfortunately, Sue Grafton passed away earlier this year, but she had it was called basically the Alphabet series. And it was A is for alibi, B is for burglar. And so she was making her way through the entire alphabet. And so she was on X when she passed away. And so, I think it was all shocking to us because I think we all just assumed that she would get to Z, and so, obviously losing her was such a big blow to the mystery community, but she was definitely such a trailblazer for mystery writers, period, but also for women mystery writers.
What inspired you to start writing?
I mean, I just, what I've always loved. When I was 5 years old, I told my parents I wanted to, be a novelist when I grew up, and I was lucky that they supported me. It just took over 30 years to actually, finally have enough courage to do it. But it's just kind of like when it's been ingrained in me. That's, and I kind of laugh because publishing is such a brutal business and it just makes no sense at all. So I
Mhm.
feel like if I didn't have this just ingrained in my bones, like I have to love this. I think with all writers, you have to love it to put up with all the other drama that comes along with trying to get a book published.
Oh, isn't that the truth? I've heard lots of stories. I know lots of
Oh,
authors, so I
sure.
feel your pain.
I'm sure you have.
Yes. Okay. So let's talk about what genre you write in. So this is kind of a traditional whodunit type of mystery, which is,
hmm
always great fun. How did you choose to write like in this cozy mystery type niche other than, hard boiled or something else?
Well, for me, I think when I was around 11, I discovered cozy mysteries. I discovered Jill Churchill and Joan Hess, and so I've always loved them. I have a very overactive imagination, and so I like there's I think James Patterson Kiss the Girls has a scene that I literally read about 20 plus years ago, and I still think about that scene and it freaks me out. So
Mm-hmm.
I literally can't read hardcore serial killers rape. I can't read that. It's just mentally I can't handle it. And when you
Mm-hmm.
write a book, it takes some people what, a week, 2 weeks, even a couple of days to read a book, but to write a book it takes longer. And so I didn't want to kind of be in a world of trying to be with a serial killer or a child rapist or something like that for a year writing a book. So I'd rather write
Yeah.
something that's a little bit more fun to write. So I
Yeah.
definitely have fun writing the Detective by Day series. They are, some people think they're cozies, they're traditional mysteries. In the first one, she's an amateur detective, and it's just a very fun, light beach read.
As in the first one, the main character is Day. She goes by Day.
Yes.
She is like not a detective. So did you
Mm-mm.
do some research to kind of, form her into a detective
You,
eventually?
you know what? This is going to sound horrible. I did not do research. I do common sense. That's when I'm thinking about a scene. I always say, okay, just from a common sense perspective, what would I do as someone who doesn't have a lot of knowledge of, detective techniques? And
Mm-hmm.
so I like to think, especially in that first book, that Dana really kind of uses her instincts, just the common sense of trying to figure out, like, okay, what should I do? How should I handle this? So.
Oh, that's actually kind of refreshing. It's very different. So she approaches things probably a little different than a traditional detective would.
Yes, and I think I had a review in I think Book Riot for the first book, and she kind of, one of the things she said was like, Dana's not Veronica Mars. She's, if you and I were going to try to investigate a crime, this is how we would do it, and
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of my goal with that, with the idea of like, if you and me, we stumbled across a hit and run and wanted to solve it for the reward money, how would we handle it? I wanted to kind of have a very almost realistic way of dealing with it. So.
Hmm. So Dana, she is out to get some money. So that's why she, I guess, decided
Yes,
to start
but to,
this
to
whole
save her
thing.
parents' house from foreclosure. So that she has good intentions for the money.
Okay. So what kind of, tell me about her, like, as a character. So we know she's, out to get this money to help her parents,
Mhm.
but like, how, like, is she a very strong character? Does she have a lot of doubt when she's solving these mysteries? Tell me about her.
When I actually wrote the first book, or had the idea, I was kind of in a period of transition career wise and just where I was. And so I put a lot of that into Dana in the first book. And so when you meet her in Hollywood Homicide, she used to be a fried chicken spokesperson, and she got let go. They didn't renew her contract. And so it's been 18 months. She hasn't worked as an actor in that time period. She's dead broke, and she doesn't really know what to do with herself. She knows
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't want to act anymore, but she's not really sure what to do next, and so there's definitely some insecurities there, just trying to figure it out, and then also in the second book, Hollywood Ending, she's actually a private detective apprentice, but there's still some insecurities there that have to do more with the job. So Jane is definitely someone who has a lot of insecurities. She masks them with humor. She always has like a one liner or a joke. I think she's also very impulsive. I think a lot of ways there are elements of me, like the humor element, and also, kind of insecurity element that's definitely taken from me. But Dana's way more impulsive than I would ever be. Like, I would never try to solve a murder. Um, and she kind of takes some risks, in the books. And I do have her friends kind of yell at her. for it, because I think that's realistic too. I think with cozies especially, a lot of them take place, in small towns, and you're kind of like, it's like the murder she wrote. Like, how many murders can happen in a small town? Like, how many times can one person solve a murder? So I kind of do want to have a realistic kind of make it as realistic as possible within that genre of it, you know?
Yeah. So she decided to be, I guess, officially become a detective in the second
Yes.
book. So she is in training
Yes.
and she's still in Hollywood.
Yes.
I like that she's kind of like in a cool place, and like you said, her friends are still giving her reality checks because
Yes.
she hasn't earned her stripes just yet.
No, she's super impulsive. And I think one of the things I play with in the second book is I divide my books into three acts. So in the first act, she's almost too confident, not cocky, but overconfident. And then something happens at the end of the first act that's kind of a reality check for her, and it makes her very insecure in her investigation. And so I do like to play, because I have a television background. I used to write for a TV show called Cold Case. And so, also, I have my master's degree in screenwriting from USC. So I kind of like to, kind of have some character development and a character arc in each book as well. So,
Mhm. Absolutely. Well, I really love that she's an adult. I gotta tell you, like sometimes reading about kids solving mysteries is so funny to me. Like, where are your parents? Where are your parents
yeah,
at?
yeah.
So,
Oh, so yeah.
how did you choose to like age her? How did you go about choosing how old she would be?
I wanted her to be young enough that it made sense that she would do this. I don't know if a woman, and because I'm 39, so I don't know if a 39-year-old woman would be, in one scene, she's literally chasing a bad guy down the street in her 4-inch stilettos. So I don't, just from a realistic perspective, I don't see a 39-year-old woman doing that.
I
And
concur with that.
exactly. Like, we'd be like, I'm just going to wait here and call the police.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted her to be an age where it still kind of made sense that she was, trying to find herself, but also she would again make these impulsive decisions and do these things without really kind of thinking about the fact that she could really get hurt.
Hmm. Well, does Dana have relationships like, a guy? Because I know a lot of these type of mysteries, they kind of shy away from like the relationship stuff, but does Dana involve in that?
Well, so a lot of cozy mysteries, they have the trope of the main characters always usually involved with the police detective who's investigating the crimes, and it makes sense from a story perspective. So I see why all of them do it. So my love interest in the first book is not a police detective, but he plays one on television, and he's
Oh,
actually
cool.
her one of her best friends from childhood. His name is Omari, and so kind of that's like the subplot in the first book is she's kind of she's had an unrequited crush on him since high school. He makes a move on her before the book starts. She kind of freaks out about it, and
Hmm.
kind of freaks out and says the wrong thing. And so they're kind of estranged when the book starts. And then she realizes she needs him because he has some key information that she needs for her investigation. So now she has to contact him, even though, it's been awkward. They haven't spoken. And in that time, he's now been cast on a TV show. So he's all like kind of famous in Hollywood it boy. And she's, not doing well. So
Ooh, sounds interesting. Okay, I like it. I'm digging it.
okay, so I'm not a romance writer. I don't read romances. And so, I did this romantic kind of subplot of this unrequited crush, and people really like it, and so I'm always kind of surprised, like, okay, like they actually really like liked that part of it, and even like the way that the book ends, it kind of actually ends on their relationship and this kind of like pivotal moment in it, and people are like, oh my god, I love the ending, I love the last words. So I'm kind of like just kind of surprised considering that I don't know anything about romance at all, so I'm surprised that people kind of respond to that romantic element so much.
Really? So, like, okay, so what kind of relationship do you think they have? Are they kind of like the kind that are snapping at each other all the time, or
No,
no?
no, they were best friends for a long time, and they were supporting each other, and I think they definitely tease each other. But it's
Okay.
it's not like one of those like we like it's not that type of relationship at all. Um, And so even in the first book, he's especially like the few times they see each other, he actually even helps her out with the case for a little bit. So, and he's also very honest with her, which I think she has an issue with. 'Cause I think she's in denial about what's
Hmm.
going, where she is in her life, and he's kind of like the one who's super honest with her about how she is with certain things.
Okay, awesome. So, well, Hollywood Ending just came out
Hmm.
just a few short weeks ago.
Hmm.
So, what is like the most exciting thing about writing this second book?
I just, I mean, I was surprised that anyone wanted to read like the first book, and so the fact that I now have two books out to me is just kind of, amazing. I think when I was younger, I always wanted to write a book, so the fact that I have two books out now, definitely have a third one out next year. That to me is just amazing, and I'm just trying to enjoy that moment. So
Wonderful. Well, congratulations on all the awards you won on the first book.
thank you.
Yes, I anticipate more good things from this second book as well.
That would be nice. I mean, I that'd be nice. I have three more awards I'm actually up for at a conference called BoucherCon, which is probably like one of the biggest mystery conferences of the year. And so I've never been to BoucherCon, so I'm trying not to be nervous about going. Nervous
Hmm.
about going anyway, but then to be up for like three awards, I'm trying to like, okay, Kellye, you have to just enjoy yourself because you've been lucky so far. You've won three, but it doesn't mean you're gonna win any of these. You just have to, really just enjoy yourself and just and I do appreciate being nominated, especially because I do write really funny light books about black women solving the crime, so which you don't see a lot in mysteries at all.
Hmm. No, and that is another thing that honestly drew me to
Mhm.
your series. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's a black
Yeah.
author. I love this. So I was especially happy when you said, yes, I'll do it. Let's
Yay, I'm
do
glad you
this.
asked me. Well, I think I talk about this a lot because it's something that's like really close to my heart. There's definitely a lack of diverse voices in mystery. That's been kind of historically. I think you think of people like, Walter Mosley, who's an amazing person, but he's had an amazing career for
Hmm.
any author, period, but especially for a black author. And so right now, though, I will say it's like a really good time to be a black mystery writer. There's myself, there's Tracy Clark, who I mentioned before, V.M. Burns, Alexia Gordon, Rachel Housel Hall, Cheryl Head. We just have a whole group of us who are kind of all publishing right now. And the best thing is that we all know each other and we all support each other. And like I'll retweet Tracy or Valerie will retweet me. And like we just always just support each other, which is great, that we have each other. Because like I said before, the industry just is kind of brutal and it makes no sense. And so to have that support system of women
Hmm.
who, you know, look like me and who write what I'm writing is just so crucial.
Yeah. I mean, because I mean, honestly, I applaud you all. I mean, especially
Thank
like
you.
black writers that do like all these little niche genres that
New
you just don't
genres.
see a lot of black writers, like horror and things like that.
Yeah.
I get really excited when I see clusters of
Yeah.
my people writing books. I love it.
I just did Writers Digest conference, which is a writers conference that's put together by Writers Digest magazine, and I was on a mystery panel, and I was just really happy because I saw a good 10 people of color in the
Hmm.
audience, and I was just like, wait, do all these like 10 people, do they all write mysteries? Because I just get super excited when I see a mystery by a diverse author, still, and I've been reading
Hmm.
him for like 20 plus years.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that is very awesome. I'm so glad I came across your series. And I meant to tell you before we finished talking about this that your cover art is amazing. Did you
Isn't it?
design or your cover art?
No, I had
No?
nothing. That's why I can say thank you and be like, isn't it? Because I had nothing to do with it. And the irony is that I actually don't really always like people on covers.
Mm-hmm.
And so when my publisher was thinking about ideas, because especially with a lot of cozy mysteries, traditional mysteries, if you do see a person, it's like a body part, like it's a leg or it's a hand, it's an arm. And so my publisher was the one that was like, you know what, we want to do a cover where we think she's such a great character that we want to put her front and center on the cover. And just that, to me, I was just amazed at how beautiful it turned out, but also the fact that she's a black woman, and like I said, you don't see that a lot in mystery. So for my
Mm-hmm.
publisher, which is Midnight Ink, for them to not shy away from that and to actually celebrate that, it just means the world to me. So
Yes. And she's brown. I love
she's
it.
brown. She's
Yes.
based on Latoya Luckett, actually.
Yeah, she kind of looks like
Yeah.
that. Absolutely. I totally see it
Yeah.
now. That's great. Okay, well, is there anything else you'd like to share about Detective by Day before we do the lightning round?
No, like I said, Hollywood ending. is out now, and in that one she is a apprentice private investigator, and it takes place during award season, which is like when the Oscars, the Golden Globes are,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about an award show publicist gets shot in an ATM robbery gone wrong, and so Dana and her team kind of look into it. So,
Oh, wow.
and actually, I will say this: I think it's actually funnier than the first book, and it took me a long time to come to that conclusion, but I think it's actually funnier than the first one.
Wonderful. Well, I mean, it's only been out a few weeks, and the reviews are stellar. So, congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's do this lightning round. It's super fun, and it's only 60 seconds.
Okay, I'm a little nervous. So, yeah, what are the rules?
Okay, so some are book related, some are not, the questions, some are open-ended, some you have to pick one or the other. The only rule is that you must choose. You can't say neither, you can't say both, and you can't skip.
Okay.
All right, awesome. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, I'm starting the timer.
Okay.
Hero or villain?
Hero.
Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Name a book that you've read in one sitting.
B is for burglar, Sue Grafton.
Beer or wine?
Wine.
Milk chocolate or dark chocolate?
Oh, milk chocolate for sure.
Where's your favorite place to read?
In the bathtub.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
The most important question, Android or Apple?
Apple.
Okay, name your favorite food.
Pizza.
Marvel or DC?
DC.
Series or standalones?
Oh, series for sure.
Audiobook or podcast?
Podcast.
Vodka or rum? Oh, that's it. We're done.
See, I was going to answer that. Now you guys will never know my last answer.
Oh, no. I have a feeling I know what it is, and it's the same one I would pick.
What is it? What would you pick?
Vodka.
Yeah, vodka.
Yeah. Love me some vodka. Vodka tonics, they're my thing.
So, you know what? It's interesting. I'm not a big drinker. So when you were like beer or wine, I wanted to be like neither. But then I was like, wait, I can't do that. So.
Yeah. Oh, well, I agree with you. Well, wine is good. Yeah. I'm not a huge wine drinker, but I do enjoy a good red wine once in a while.
Yeah, I tend to like sweet things. So beer's too sour for me.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for doing that, Kellye. It was super fun.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Everyone be sure to follow Kellye on social media and pick up a copy of her latest book, Hollywood Ending, available now. All the links are below in the show notes. And again, it's been a pleasure, Kellye. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Of course.
Okay, everyone, that's it for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in and spending the time with us here on the Shelf Addiction Podcast. And as always, happy reading. Take care, everyone. If you enjoyed today's book chat episode and would like to show your support, there are a few things you can do. Head on over to Apple Podcast and leave a positive 5-star review. You can follow me on Twitter at Shelf Addiction. Most importantly, you can share this podcast with friends and family that enjoy all things bookish, including author interviews. Thank you for listening, and until next time, happy reading.